Hi everyone, Nathan here with ATC Cooling and Heating in Kingsport, Tennessee. Today we're going to pit 4 different Daikin heat pumps against each other and see which one comes out on top. Now you might be asking, why all the attention on heat pumps? Well, there's a national push to convert homes to heat pumps. Modern heat pumps are much more efficient than the ancestors of just a generation or two ago. Plus, since heat pumps both cool and heat the house, they essentially do double duty with just one unit. And lastly, since heat pumps run on electricity, they can take advantage of utility power production upgrades too, like wind, solar, and hydro. Now, all HVAC manufacturers make heat pump models in various outputs and efficiencies to meet the needs of different customers across the US and beyond. Different climates, different homes, different solutions are needed. This means that there are often several choices for your home's heat pump, and we're going to try to answer which one is the best one for you. I've got 4 here that we're looking at today. First is the Daikin DH4SE. That's a standard heat pump model. It's a cube shape format. The next is the Daikin DH4SE, which is an entry-level, what they call a fit heat pump model. This is a side discharge model, which means that the fan goes on the side of the unit rather than on the top. The next is the DH7SE, different only by that one number, the 7 in there, and that's an upgraded fit or side discharge heat pump. And lastly, we're going to look at the DH9SE heat pump. The DH9 heat pump is a dual fan side discharge model. They're quite tall. First, it should be said that all Daikin heat pump models use the same refrigerant, R-32. R-32 is one of the 2 new low global warming potential refrigerants currently authorized for use. The other is R-454B, which is a mixture of R-32 and another refrigerant called R-1234YF. Both work fine. But I think R-32 has a slight advantage because it's a pure refrigerant, not a mixture, and thus it's just easier to work with. Now, all North American bound Daikin heat pump models are made in Houston, Texas in a massive 4.3 million square foot factory. I have seen the factory and I can assure you that it is very impressive. Daikin is laser focused on making a quality product. Next on our list is warranty. All Daikin heat pump models have a 12-year parts warranty. Now this warranty is better than most other HVAC manufacturers. The typical length of time is just 10 years on parts. The basic 14-15 SEER models, the Daikin DH4 that we're looking at here, they have a 6-year replacement warranty in the unlikely event that the compressor fails. Now the compressor is the main pump in the outdoor unit, so that's a big deal. The 3 fit or side discharge units have a 12-year replacement warranty, which is really excellent in the industry. But the performance is where you will really notice a difference between these models. Heating and cooling efficiencies go up with the better fit units. Here is the performance for the conventional cube-shaped DH4 model. Note that depending on size, these achieve 14 to 15 SEER and 7.5 to 8.2 HSPF. The higher the number, the more efficient the unit, and the less you will spend on electricity. The specs are slightly different by output size. Now in efficiency, the fit models, they're just better, but be careful on the size. The smaller 16 SEER models, or the DH6 models, they do quite well with 17 to 19 SEER cooling efficiencies and about 8.5 in heating efficiency. But the larger output models, these numbers fall off, and the 16 SEER no longer eligible for the federal tax credit at the 3-ton size and larger. Here's a little chart. I've circled the ones that don't meet the tax credit. Now the 17 SEER models, or DH7 units, these all meet the standard for the tax credit. Plus, their overall efficiencies are just very, very good. These units are only available in full-ton sizes, so no half-ton, no 2.5, no 3.5-ton sizes. That said, since they are variable output models, the sizing really isn't a problem, but more on that in a minute. The 19 SEER model, or DH9 units, they are only available right now anyway in 2 and 3 ton sizes. Now I'm told that larger sizes are just on the horizon. But this model has class-leading efficiency with 19 SEER cooling efficiency and 9.2 HSPF or heating efficiency. That said, there is more to a heat pump than raw efficiency. The standard DH4 model is a single-stage unit. That means it comes on and off, essentially duty cycling every time the thermostat calls for heat or cool. But the three FIT models, or the three side discharge models, they're all variable output models. They can operate at any output, from 30% to 100%, with hundreds of steps in between. Thus, they match their output to the conditions inside the home and the temperature outside the home. This means that they have far fewer duty cycles, improving their lifespan, and like to turn on and run pretty much all day. This constant operation means two things. First, they are evening out the temperature across the house as they run. You don't get that blast of heat and then cold that a single stage unit gives you. And secondly, they do a fabulous job removing summertime humidity, as humidity mitigation is all about runtime. Since they like to come on and run most of the day, they just pull out so much more of the moisture that comes with summertime. Now, like that variable output, this next advantage applies to all of the side discharge, the FIT models, the DH6, DH7, and DH9, and that is their quietness. These models are super quiet outdoors. The difference is really quite remarkable. They are incredibly quiet, so if your unit, for example, sits next to your deck, or your patio, or underneath your bedroom window, well, in that case, I highly recommend one of these three models. But there is a feature that not many HVAC contractors even think about, and that feature is very cold weather performance. As the temperature outside falls, heat pumps have a harder and harder time extracting heat from the air. And many older heat pump models, well, they just give up when the temperature falls below 25 degrees or so. Modern heat pumps can be better, but not all of them are. This may not matter so much if you live in Florida, but for much of the country, cold weather performance is super important. In fact, you will see a definitive difference between the low temperature performance of these four models, and I'm going to draw that out for you right here. Alright, so what we have here is an output comparison for the four Daikin heat pump models that we've been talking about. In the cooling operation, they are all pretty similar. They all do about 35,000 BTUs in this 3-ton size, which is what you would expect. But heat output is very different. And really, what we're talking about here is what happens at 5 degrees. How much heat do you get at a very low temperature like 5 degrees? I'm going to draw it on the board for you. Keep in mind too though, as the temperature falls, your house needs more heat, not less heat. So this gets more and more important the lower the temperature goes. For the DH4, it makes right in here, about 17,000 BTUs, and that's about 50% of its rated capacity. That's the DH4. The DH6 makes about 60%, not quite 20,000 BTUs, of its rated capacity, again at 5 degrees. The DH7 though, well, that's quite a step up. All the way up here, it's more than 25,000 BTUs, and that's 80% of its output that it's rated for. That's pretty impressive. Of course, the top of the line model here, the DH9, that makes 99% of its rated capacity at 5 degrees. It's just fabulous, the heat output of that model. It doesn't get any better. Now here's where the rubber meets the road. When your unit is running and the temperature falls to very low temperatures and your heat pump is struggling to make the needed heat in the house, what it does is it engages the electric backup heat. Electric backup heat is resistance heat. And for this model, there's quite a lot of backup that is needed. And when your electric backup is running, well, that's running your electric meter, and that costs quite a lot of money. There's a fair amount to make up on the unit that only makes 50% of its heat output at just 5 degrees. There's less to be made up here on the DH6 model, as it makes 60% output. There's a little bit, but not too bad here on the DH7. And there's, well, a tiny bit here for the DH9. Now, let's talk turkey for a bit. The DH9, well, it's an excellent unit, and it has all the excellent features, including quietness, efficiency, humidity removal, and heat output at low temperatures. And I'm sure you're expecting this. That unit is on the pricey side, and it's not yet available in larger 4-ton and 5-ton models. While the DH7 falls off slightly in efficiency and heat output, its numbers are still very good. Plus, it too is very quiet. It too does a great job with humidity removal, and it's very comfortable inside the house. And today, that's enough for the DH7 to take the victory. It's where I would spend my money. Now, if you have any questions about Daikin heat pumps or really anything HVAC, leave us a note here or check us out at atcservice.com. Stay warm out there.